Food, glorious food. Welcome back to Trust the Effing Podcast. This is Ep.5, and today Jennifer and I are talking about our diets. We share some stories about health issues we had in the past and how changing the way we ate really helped our everything. We share some tips about superfoods, juicing, and I even share a little story about ginger shots with Ethan Hawke. So listen through to the end and please like, follow, and subscribe and share. We are so glad that you're here. Thank you so much. So Jen, guess what? I am back.
You're back? What do you mean you're back?
I am back. I have a blender again.
Oh my God, I know. Your blender was broken for so long. How long was it broken?
Well, okay, the first one, there's been some blender issues this year, but the first one was broken for like a month. And then I splurged and bought myself a Ninja, and I was so excited about it because I make all my juices and smoothies and all the delicious things that are a huge part of my day. But then it broke. And I couldn't find the receipt, which was like heartbreaking. And so then I waited a while and then finally, anyway, I was missing. I felt like I wasn't as healthy. I just missed especially my morning smoothies so much. So I'm back. I had a wonderful smoothie this morning. I made green juice yesterday. I feel alive again.
Oh my gosh, it's like so crippling to be without those tools that we have to have just to eat healthy, right?
I know it's interesting because I rely on these different tools and certain foods now that I didn't in the past for sure. I used to eat so differently. Have you changed your diet a lot as you've kind of been going through this healing and awakening and
Oh my God, so much. And I've tried so many different things too. Like when you were talking about your Ninja and your fruit juices and stuff like that, I was thinking back to about 10 years ago when I tried the celery juice thing. That was like such a big deal. It became like such a huge thing. It blew up. And I got on that bandwagon and I had so much freaking celery that I was stocking my fridge with. And I would blend up a whole bunch of that every single morning on my way out the door to head to work. And feels amazing. It tasted so fresh. It felt great. I mean, I felt so nourished also at the same time, drinking that every morning.
yeah. I didn't jump on the celery juice train as much. Oh my gosh, like how we feel, especially first thing in the morning to have a fresh juice. It's like
Yeah.
my body starts dancing. Versus like when I used to drink like a double double in the morning, which in Canada, I don't know if they call it a double double in the States, but it's two creams, two sugars, and some coffee.
Yeah. I love the juices. Like there's times when I'll just do like a juice fast for a full weekend and I'll line up my veggies and fruits in my fridge. Typically there's beet in there. And I also love carrot juice blends too. So I love like something simple like just carrot and orange blended together in a juice or just beets and apples. Throw a hunk of ginger in there. But I will set up these juices and that's all I will drink for a full weekend. I'm telling you, by the end of that weekend, I am feeling like $1,000,000, like reborn.
100%. You just let your whole digestive system rest and you were filling it with just pure like nutrients. Your body felt so nourished. Can I share with you a funny story about my first ginger shot I ever had?
Yes, please do.
I'm laughing before I could even get it out. So when I had first moved down here to Costa Rica, it was around 2012, I guess. I was at there's a hotel that has like a lot of yoga classes and a juice bar. It's called Harmony Hotel. Anyways, my friend had said to me, "Have you ever tried a ginger shot?" And I hadn't, but I love ginger. So I was like, okay, let's check this out. So we walk up to the counter and there's this guy standing there I mean, this is a beach town. So there's a lot of surfers and yogis and, people not wearing a lot of clothes and whatever. But this guy's got like a dirty trucker hat on and dirty surf shorts. And just he's standing there. And my friend orders me the ginger shot. And I throw it back, and then I'm just like, whoa, because it was just like, I don't know if you've ever had one or not, but it is powerful and it's a party in your mouth. And there's just, my eyes were like popping out of my head. And this guy turns and says, "What did you just have? I have to have one of those." It turns out it was Ethan Hawke, the actor.
What?
So Ethan and I had our first ginger shots together
Oh my God.
a lot of years ago. Or maybe I'm the reason he had his first ginger shot. I don't know.
See, probably created this great new healthy routine in his life that he was lacking.
I hope so. Yeah, who knows? But I will tell you, I felt incredible. Like it was like a surge of energy. I
Mhm,
felt like, I don't know, almost like my cells were dancing. Like it
mhm.
was just everything was awake. And so yeah, in juices, I definitely, even in smoothies, I like to add ginger. I
Yes.
think it's a good go-to.
I like fresh ginger in juices and smoothies too. It's just so it adds such a like a fresh boost of flavor. And God knows there's so many health benefits to having
Oh,
ginger in our diet, you know.
yes.
I was also thinking too, like this conversation made me think back to years ago when I had like this issue with my health that I couldn't determine what it was, and I went to the doctor and they couldn't figure it out either. Have you had anything happen to you like that? Like symptoms were happening, but like nobody could figure out, and then you started thinking it was all in your head. Does that ever happen to you?
A lot of health struggles. So I'm trying to think back. Yes, I'm sure it's happened. I think I finally did get diagnoses for most things, but
Mhm.
it was worse not knowing
Mhm.
than finding out what's going on. Because when you don't know, you don't know how to treat something, right? Or
Right.
how to, what you should do or shouldn't do, or, what's going to make it worse. So I feel that struggle. But so what did you do in the meantime while you were waiting?
Well, some of the symptoms I was experiencing were like brain fog. I kept feeling like really fatigued every day. I never felt like I could get enough sleep, no matter how early I would go to bed or how much sleep I would get through the night. I was also struggling with yeast infections, having like gut problems. Like nothing I could eat would ever digest well. Anything would upset my stomach. I'd end up bloated. I'd end up gassy. I'd end up, sometimes near vomiting. I have struggle with feeling good after eating anything, even like some salads and vegetables and stuff wouldn't sit right in my body. So I started dealing with a lot of this stuff for a while. Somehow I came across an article about candida,
Hmm.
and like all the symptoms really lined up. Everything that I read was like, oh my God, I totally have this. And leaky gut was another symptom of candida. And so the more that I researched and really dove into leaky gut and candida, like the light bulbs were just going off. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is it. I have leaky gut. I have candida. And now how do I heal from this?" Because a lot of the literature that I read was that doctors, a lot of the medical profession don't know how to identify it properly and also don't know really adequately how to treat it without medicine. And medicine isn't really a long-lasting option, right? It's not going to sustain true healing from this. Like you have to go through proper nutrition and cleansing and maybe even using herbs and stuff like that. So I implemented a lot of those things. I actually started off the whole process with a bone broth fast. And so this became like a big staple in my general diet. But even just to take a weekend and do and drink nothing but water and bone broth to cleanse my digestive tract and promote healing through my whole digestive tract, right? Because bone broth, if you can use chicken bones, you can use fish bones, you can use beef bones, but they all contain minerals and nutrients, and the collagen and everything that exists in them helps to repair our digestive tract, right? Because leaky gut and candida cause all these little tears and all this disruption in our gut and in our microbiome. So I started off with that, and boy, let me tell you, that was a rough weekend
Yeah.
because you're detoxing from all the sugars and all the bugs and all that stuff in your body that have been sitting there for so long. So the whole weekend, I felt like, I'm going to tell you, I felt like shit. The brain fog got worse, feelings of weakness got worse. And yet at the end of that weekend, by Sunday night, my body started to feel strong again. It was like a huge purge had happened. And now it felt like I was restored and kind of back to like a balance in a sense. And then it began, and then it continued on. Like I continued on with just eating more healthfully. I cleaned a lot of the sugars out of my diet because one of the biggest offenders when you have candida and leaky gut is sugars, all the refined sugars and stuff that we have in our diets. So I cleaned a lot of that out. I started taking a candida complex herb blend to continue the healing and continue eradicating the bugs from my system. And I've never eaten the same way again since then. I've cut a lot of all the packaged foods and refined foods from my diet, and I lean more towards a fresh whole foods and really more plant-based diet now too because of that.
Wow. It's amazing that you were able to heal yourself, how you eat, and by cutting out, I guess, what we would call the crap food or what's not even real food. And I actually had similar experiences as when I was 25. I was really sick with digestive issues and pain, and I was finally diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which I was sick with for maybe 3 or 4 years. And they just wanted to pump me full of medication. Nobody really explained too much about it, except that I couldn't have fiber, that fiber would bother me more. So that's like fruits and vegetables. So they basically had said, but you have to keep your calories up, or no, they had said you should do a liquid diet for a few weeks and see if that can calm your system. But they actually suggested that I gain my calories from sugar. So they were telling me to drink, yeah, like they were actually telling me to, drink, I don't know, sugary drinks and stuff as a means of that. So that actually made, I mean, it did calm things down, but definitely didn't heal what I was needing healed. And I didn't really know what to do. And I trusted Western medicine a lot. And so I was just doing what they told me to do. But eventually, I started trying, kind of taking my health into my own hands and checking out more natural ways of healing and reaching out to a naturopath. And I got really into like peppermint teas and things like that. I actually, during that time in my life, I ended up having a surgery that I had to remove a foot of my bowel, and then they reconnected it. So I ended up going to that extreme. I tried pretty much everything up to that point that I knew of at that time. Like looking back, I would have done for sure a juice cleanse. Like it would have just been juicing and getting those nutrients. Because when I did the liquid diet that they told me to do, I went down to a level of malnutrition where I had cankers on my tongue.
Oh my
Like,
God.
yeah, it was no good. So after that, and when I took things into my own hands, I really changed how I started to eat. Because before then I ate I grew up eating very healthy. My parents had vegetable gardens and my mom was a health nurse. So I kind of ate like how Canada said we were supposed to eat: this much dairy, this much meat, whatever. Um, that was, but then I got into fast food for many years and, just not eating things that are actually food. Most of the fast food is not even real food, right? There's so much
Right.
added and crap put in there. So it wasn't until a few years after Crohn's after the whole Crohn's disease and the surgery, that I was starting that part, my digestive system had calmed. So I was feeling better in those ways, but I was starting to have major skin flare-ups and other autoimmune disorders that were showing up. And so in order to heal them, I didn't try to go to doctors. Not that I'm saying don't go to Western medical doctors, because I think there's a purpose. I think we can find a balance between the two.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they don't always, I think for me anyway, they offered me Band-Aids. Even the surgery was a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Because after the surgery, every part of our body is necessary. So the foot of my bowel that got cut out because it was diseased, it is needed. It was supposed to absorb certain vitamins and nutrients, and then suddenly I wasn't able to do that anymore. So I was having to get like B12 shots every month, and it didn't matter how well I was eating, I wasn't absorbing all the vitamins. So I was starting to get all these skin issues and flare-ups. And so then, of course, because I'm a little vain, what? On my face? No. So then I got real serious with changing how I ate even more and just learning what felt better for me. And when I moved to Costa Rica, I actually stopped eating meat. And at first, I was just going to try it for like a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's fresh fish here because we're very close to the ocean. So I still was having fish, but I was cutting out like red meat and chicken and
Yeah.
pork. And I just felt better. It just, everything felt better. So I've never turned back. So 12 years later, uh, I'm almost vegan. I do eat cheese and I do eat eggs. So,
Mhm.
and I do eat fish sometimes, not that often. So I guess I'm pescatarian kind of.
Why do we have to label it? I
Yeah.
kind of laugh because I've had people ask me that too. As I tend to eat more plant-based. I
Yeah.
love fresh vegetables and fruits and eating more legumes and things like that. But on occasion, I will have a steak. On occasion, I will have some grilled chicken. On occasion, I will have some fish, And some people that are around me are like, what are you? Like you eat mostly vegetables, but you're eating a steak now. I don't get it. It's like, well, I don't want to label myself. I kind of intuitively eat. I don't know. Is there a flexitarian? Do you want to call me call me that? I eat a variety, but yeah, I do generally stay plant-based because that's what feels the best for my body and all the healing that I've been through. I won't go back to eating meats every single day. And God knows when you go in the grocery store to pick out your meats, who knows what's in some of that stuff. We hear these horror stories about the slaughterhouses and our animals and injected with hormones and steroids and God knows what else. It's
Yeah.
kind of frightening to even go to the grocery store now to pick out meats and even vegetables and fruits for all the pesticides and things that are sprayed on them and that they're soaked in. So I prefer to buy even organic when I can afford to, and when it's available. And I prefer to buy, local meats and local eggs because, it's pretty well known that the closer to home you buy your food, the safer and more clean and healthy that it's going to be. So,
With like fruits and vegetables, if you can buy them local, they're fresher, meaning they have still the higher percentage of nutrients. If
right.
it's traveled a long way, it starts to become, you lose some of that. And so yeah, shopping local, if you can grow your own food,
Yes.
even more important. But I don't think anybody needs to label themselves. I think we're all different. I
Hmm.
think our needs are all very different.
Hmm.
And I definitely do believe in intuitive eating. Like if you're craving something, and I'm not talking about like potato chips and stuff, although maybe, but like your body knows. Like I can't tell you how many times I go to the grocery store and I see my hand reaching for, I remember they were like these sprouts, some kind of sprouts, pea
Hmm.
sprouts, I think they were. And
Hmm.
I was like, at that time, I'd never even eaten them before. So I was like, I don't know why I keep wanting to buy them. Well, that same week, that was when I was trying to figure out my skin stuff. And I'd started seeing an acupuncturist who also studies Chinese medicine.
Hmm.
And what did he tell me to add into my diet? Pea sprouts. So my
Oh, wow.
body already knew that I needed them, but I didn't know why I was being like pulled towards them. So
Yep.
it's so interesting that we do. Our body can tell us. When you open the fridge and you stand there and you're like, what do I feel like? Like
Hmm.
listen to yourself because your body knows. Like most of the times, like I grew up where we ate very, you eat your breakfast and then there's a snack and then you eat your lunch and everything was very ordered, which is, great. But for me, it doesn't work that way. There's some, and maybe it's as I'm older too, but there's some days where my body just wants smoothies and soups and
Yep.
juices and water, and it doesn't want heavy foods. And then there's other times where I'm like, I need a home cooked meal. I need those mashed potatoes, and I need that kind of food. And I think that we should just listen to ourselves. Also now, like I got into superfoods. Do you add superfoods into your diet?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, there's such a list of superfoods too. And I know it kind of changes depending on what research is available. But some superfoods that I include in my diet, like blueberries. Oh my gosh, that's a big staple of my diet. I love blueberries. They're considered a superfood, of course, organic when you can get them. I really enjoy goji berries. There's a lot of different superfoods. I love like seeds, like chia seeds. That's another big staple in my diet. I include those in like my oatmeals, my morning oatmeals or overnight oats I make sometimes, these or chia puddings I make with them. Yeah. Do you have like some recipes like that that are kind of your staples?
I- Yeah, and those are some of my favorites too. And chia seeds, I mean, especially because I don't eat as much meat. I mean, I get most of my protein through plant-based sources, which there are many, by the way. There are many ways to get protein without eating meat.
Yes.
Seeds for sure, but chia seeds are amazing. So I put them in all my smoothies, and they also go in. I make overnight oats often, so they go in there. I love, love, love goji berries. I also love blueberries, kale. Love it, love it, love it. I put it in some smoothies as well, or salads, or cooking with it. What else do I love? Superfoods. Oh, turmeric. Turmeric is a huge one that
Mm-hmm.
also goes into my smoothie. Sometimes I'll make, especially if I feel like I'm getting a cold, my
Yeah.
go-to is back to the ginger. I'll boil ginger, and you can use ginger powder, or I usually buy a root of it and then chop it up and just boil it with turmeric. Again, you can also use the root, or you can just use the powder.
Mm-hmm.
And so ginger, turmeric, black pepper, and what else? Because the black pepper brings out more of the properties of the turmeric, so it's
Right.
works. It's really great for
Helps your body
inflammation
absorb
as
it
well.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, so I boil that, and then when I drink it, I add honey just to
Mhm.
sweeten it up a bit. But oh my gosh, it's so if I feel cold coming on, I'll drink like 3 cups of that a day, and you can make it cold as well. It's also
Mhm.
delicious. So that's one of my go-tos. I don't know what other superfoods, but when I started adding them, what I was looking for was just to add a little extra punch to my foods.
Yes.
I wanted to find boost, like how can I get more nutrients? Because I had realized because of the surgery I had had, it didn't matter how much I was eating. It was hard for me to get some of these B vitamins and different vitamins into my
Mhm.
body. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to find more like sources that are stronger and add them in, and I just felt better. Like my hair was stronger, people would notice that your skin looks brighter.
Yes.
And I mean, greens are huge as well. Greens, I guess
Yeah.
it's the chlorophyll. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
So important for just making your cells dance and come alive and having that
Yeah.
energy, and which then we're not going to have as much disease, right? It's all a balancing act.
Yeah,
So if
for
we
sure.
eat some bad foods as we're labeling them, maybe or not, one day you eat some potato chips it's okay because for me,
Mhm.
I mean, I still eat other stuff. I'm not like, oh no, I can't never eat sugar, but I
Right.
definitely use honey more often or maple
Mhm.
syrup and try not to have too much of it. But I mean, if I'm out somewhere and there's gelato, I'm probably gonna say yes to that for
Yeah.
sure.
I know. I'm totally with you. Like I don't believe in restricting myself.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm not going to sit down with a half gallon of ice cream at night with a spoon and go after it. But if I'm out to eat and there's something on the dessert menu that catches my eye, like a chocolate lava cake, for instance,
Mm,
I'm
yes.
ordering that. I'll typically share it with somebody, but I don't believe in depriving myself. Even at home, I do have a sweet tooth. I just find like healthier ways to make the sweets that I like. Like you were saying, you find honey, you use maple syrup. I do that too for sweetening stuff. And then you're not using the refined sugars and stuff. So I still love to make cookies. I make brownies. I just have healthier ways of making them. I put black beans in my brownies. I put sweet
Yes.
potatoes and chickpeas in my cookies, like then you're getting your sweet treat, but you're also getting something really nourishing for your body as well.
I just learned how to, I guess, cook and bake differently.
Mhm.
And I feel better. And then also, especially with the baked goods, like I don't feel the guilt. Like you could eat. I've never been. I think especially since I was sick, I'll never eat to the level of being really full. I just eat to where I feel good because I spent so many years bloated and in pain, and it did a number on me and my mental health in my relationship with food. It really screwed that up. So it's taken a while to rebalance that. And I don't like to overeat, but if I, you know, make my own baked goods and I know it's made with chickpea flour and honey, I don't feel as guilty as, and I know I'm going to feel better after. I'm not going to feel yucky like if I don't know, it made me think of like Dairy Queen or something. Like after I
Mhm.
eat that, I'm pretty sick. So I don't eat that usually, but
Right.
just for an example. Just definitely eat different than I used to, and there's much more nuts and seeds and little things that I sprinkle on top to boost, and I generally use almond milk or oat milk or
Mhm.
coconut milk,
Yep.
instead of dairy. Lighter, and I think I think everyone's different, but I think don't shoot it down. Like I remember I was a part of a retreat a few years ago, a yoga retreat, and one woman came in and she's from a family of farmers, and she was like, "I don't know how I'm going to do not eating meat every day. Like, can we have it sometimes?" And the chef or what, we're going to have some white fish a few times as an option, but otherwise it's going to be strictly plant-based.
Mhm.
And she was really distraught over that idea, and she was like, "I just don't think I'll do well. Like, I think I'm gonna be tired." And she's like,
Oh.
"I'm a person that needs meat." Well,
Mhm.
3 days in, this woman was shining and glowing. By the end of the week, she wasn't giving up meat by any means, but she realized like, oh, okay, I actually my digestive stuff is better and I
Yeah.
feel lighter. And she even went in 1 week, she had noticed some huge differences. So I
That's
think if
incredible.
we do some cleansing sometimes or let our bodies rest a little bit,
Mhm.
and again, intuitive eating, like listen to your body, what it wants, but also try new things once in a while.
Right. Yeah. You never know what can taste really good. You never know what can feel really good in your body until you really do experiment with it. And I love how you keep saying, like, it made me feel good. It feels good in my body because I think that's so key. I think a lot of times we don't listen to the messages that our body is giving us, like we're so used to cramming the food down and being on the go. Like that's like our society, right? Like I grew up in a really busy of lifestyle where like you tended to eat on the go, especially when I was in law enforcement. You're never sitting and enjoying a quiet meal. You're grabbing something to go, you're eating in the car, or when you people with kids and stuff, we're constantly grabbing and going here, going there. When you actually sit down for a meal and you're consciously taking each bite in and feeling how each of the bites feels as it goes down and as your body is digesting the food, like, and see if you can feel into how your body is enjoying that food truly, because if you're feeling crampy or bloated or fatigued or sluggish after your meal, maybe it is time to switch something up. Maybe it is time to try a different style of eating, different ingredients, different seasonings.
So important. And I would love to hear from our listeners on if they've tried changing their diets up at all. Also, I love recipes. So if you have any healthy, fresh recipes you want to share, I'd love to hear them. Also, like how much water are people drinking these days? Because I
Mhm.
mean, I'm down here in Costa Rica where Stanleys maybe aren't as popular, but it seems to be a big thing in North America. So are people drinking more water because of the Stanley? Like that's my question.
Yeah, the Stanley fad, right? Oh my goodness.
I mean, the benefits of drinking a lot of water are great, but
Mhm. I feel really lucky for where we live here in the Adirondacks because there are so many fresh mountain springs that we can literally get free water that is completely filled with like minerals, like magnesium and all this good stuff that's coming from the earth, all these great salts that our body needs. Like I feel so blessed every time I go to the spring and fill up my bottles with fresh water. It just feels amazing.
Just incredible. Absolutely incredible to get to drink. Isn't that crazy too that we're like, wow, lucky you with fresh drinking water? Like, what is
Oh,
this world we're living in
I
that we
know.
don't all have access to that? It makes me
Right.
so sad.
And so many people live in communities where the water comes from a water plant and it's completely purged and stripped of all those important trace minerals.
Do generally use, we have what do you call it? A water purifier. There's a lot of high calcium levels here, so
Mhm.
which can be good, but can also be a lot. So I do filter it. But I notice like when I'm in Canada and when I go to Toronto, my friends will be like, "You're buying bottles of water?" And I'm like, sorry. They're like, just drink it out of the tap. But because I've been away for 12 years, my body's not used to the water there. So I notice it'll upset my belly for a few days. So I
Mhm.
tend to buy the bottled water and just try to, just like traveling anywhere, right?
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
different types of water and our bodies get used to.
Oh my God. I've got a few stories about
I'm,
traveling in
I'm,
Mexico and drinking the water there. Oh.
yeah, yeah, you got to be careful. You don't want parasites and
Mhm.
I've gone through that too, but I'm
Mhm.
happy for you having all that spring water. I know my parents near our cottage in Canada, they have some springs that they go and fill up water from, and it really is. It tastes like so clean and delicious.
Yes.
It
It's
really is
so fresh,
wonderful.
so tasty. It's like the best water ever. I love it.
Yeah, I just think as humans these days that we just need to be much more aware of what we're putting in our mouth, on our bodies, all of that. Like what is
Mhm.
in your diet and what is serving you. And also, I guess the big thing that I learned is what I'm going to eat right now going to make my body work harder to
Mhm.
process it, or is it nourishing my body? So
Yes.
as a rule, I try to nourish my body more instead of having to make it work harder to try to
Mhm.
process or detoxify whatever I've put in. So
Yeah.
real food is better.
Yeah. Hands down. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I think that the quality of food that we put in our body, the way we feed ourselves, is really in direct proportion to how we feel about ourselves, too. If we are truly loving ourselves, honoring ourselves and our bodies, appreciating the body that we have, appreciating our time, our short, short time here on this planet, I think that naturally guides us into making really good food choices. I really do. And the older I get and the more that I do the inner work on myself, the more I feel guided to choosing the fresher, healthier foods, really, truly. So I guess if anyone out there is struggling with any kind of eating disorders, cravings, overeating, undereating, whatever it may be, if you start the inner work on yourself, I think that good eating habits follow.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a form of self-love.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you feel called to, please leave us a comment or review on the platform you heard us on today, or send us an email at trusttheeffingpodcast@gmail.com. If you are looking for additional support in your awakening journey or an intuitive reading from Rebecca, you can find her on social media at Trust the Effing Process. If you are a woman looking for holistic health and weight loss support, and you would like a consultation with Jennifer, you can find me on social media at Jennifer Fleischman _health coach, or email Jennifer at jenniferfleischman.com. And of course, all of this information will be linked in the show notes to check it out. Always know that you are exactly where you should be at any given time, and everything is unfolding as it should be. So please remember to trust the effing podcast.